My work is about what I call uprighting. Uprighting is the simple act of lifting ourselves into verticality. And not only lifting ourselves into verticality, but sustaining that all through the day. Because everybody's uprighting most of their waking hours. We're either sitting, standing, walking. This is uprighting. Now, people tend to talk about posture. And they do so, the posture being a sort of a static position, and there's good posture and bad posture. But this overlooks one very important thing. Uprighting is an act. It's an act of lifting. We're lifting ourselves. We're not born lifted. We don't wake up in the morning lifted. We're actually lifting virtually all day long. And so the question is, how well or how poorly are we lifting?
Only when we are fully supported by the ground, when we are lying down or reclining, are we not uprighting. Put another way, if we are working to lift any part of ourselves, even just the head and neck, we are uprighting.
At 6, 7, 8 months, we're sitting incredibly efficiently and beautifully. By a year and a half, we're standing on our way to walking. By 2 or 3, from squat to standing, anywhere in between, we really know what we're doing. And basically, everybody sits and stands when they're infants and toddlers, basically in the same way. Because they're using what I call our highly evolved innate uprighting system, something that makes the act of lifting ourselves into verticality easy and very efficient. The fact that infants and toddlers all sit and stand the same way, and they teach themselves, nobody taught them how to sit. Clearly, we were born with this ability. It's in our DNA. It's really a program that we're running, and as infants and toddlers, we really learn how to get with the program. But as we teach ourselves sitting and standing, and as we're even manifesting this incredible ability as infants and toddlers, we're watching all around us, and we see all the adults slouching, throwing their weight backs into chairs. This is the most normal activity in the world. We recognize this as the most normal activity because everybody's doing it everywhere, all around us, all the time. We're going to be doing that ourselves. We know this. Even as infants and toddlers, we know this. We can't do it as infants and toddlers because we couldn't sustain our uprightness at 6 months if we started throwing our weight back. We don't have the musculature that allows us to hold ourselves up under those circumstances. So since we really badly want to sit up and stand as infants and toddlers, we use the quickest, easiest, most efficient means, the means we inherited, the means that we can teach ourselves. But we know in our heart of hearts that everybody's sitting back in chairs, well, this is us, and that we're going to be doing it. And around the ages of 3 or 4, we start doing it. It's basically a rite of passage. I don't think anybody in our culture is exempt from this. I certainly wasn't, and I paid a dear price for it. And everybody pays a dear price for doing it, and people don't notice until it hurts. So my work is about trying to bring this out into the open, trying to make it conscious, trying to take it from something that people are doing but not noticing and not observing to something that they can observe. Because once people observe that they're sending their weight backwards every time they go back into a chair support or into a sofa or into a car seat, once they start to realize that they're actively throwing their weight backwards, and that there's consequences, which we're going to go over in detail, then they can change. People can start to witness how they're directing their weight downward, how they're committing their weight. This is what I call it, weight commitment. Committing it backwards, committing it straight down. Once we learn the difference, then we can start changing up. And once we become better able to send our weight straight down, we're going to notice the benefits of doing this because we've got a system waiting to propel us upwards if we just send our weight straight down.
We are and have always been under the irresistible influence of gravity. Gravity pulls all objects, human beings included, down to Earth. But what about our downward trajectory, the angle of our descent? Modern human beings seem to know nothing of this. As infants and toddlers, we teach ourselves to sit and stand by allowing gravity to take us straight down to earth. But as we leave our toddler years, we begin to sit as everyone around us is sitting, throwing our center of body mass backwards, constantly, into chairs, sofas, car seats, at home, in school, everywhere. And this spills over into how we stand. By age 5, we are trapped in habit, all of us, quite comfortable sitting as we do, but only because we are completely out of touch with the stress and strain of what is going on. Our downward trajectory shapes us, literally. When it takes us off balance in one direction, we need to bend ourselves back the other way, and often we go too far. By commanding a backwards, downward trajectory, we force ourselves into difficult positions, but we don't notice the effort we are making. We stopped noticing at a very young age, but we can relearn. We can begin to witness and experience ourselves throwing our weight backwards. And we can begin to witness and experience the muscular strain and skeletal distortion that comes with this activity. The more we notice and experience, the easier it becomes to allow gravity to take us straight down so that we can sit and stand with ease.
Gravity takes us straight down to earth. Our entire motor coordination depends on this straight down movement to earth. When we move straight down to earth, we are able to convert this powerful downward force into an upward force, making the act of uprighting easy and efficient, something that we can do with ease. But unfortunately, we're really a bunch of leaners. Either we're leaning back against a chair support or leaning against walls when we're standing up, or leaning not against something, but using our own muscles to hold ourselves up. We're kind of leaning against ourselves, making the act of lifting ourselves a much more difficult act in and of itself. Because if we're leaning against something, so much of our energy is going into something other than the act of lifting. And so when we're placing so much effort in the act of holding ourselves up, the act of lifting suffers. The only way to optimize the act of lifting is to let ourselves go straight down so we can capture this full force of our body mass going down and convert it to this upward force.